How's it going? This is Hoiman, and today we're taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Cure Custard and Cure Gelato figure. And this is a 2-pack figure, and it is a web exclusive, but you still get the window to see both figures inside. And overall, this is a really massive box, and I suppose it can't really be helped since the figures do come with quite a lot of stuff. But the top, we do have pictures of the figures, same for both sides. And then legal stuff for the bottom. And in the back, you have various pictures of both figures. And then to open the box, just lift open the side flap. And you just lift open the front cover. And there's the figures all together with their accessories. So first you do get some instructions showing what the figure comes with and how to operate the accessories. And it also shows how to assemble the cake attack as well. So looking at Cure Custard first, I feel that the sculpt of her looks really nice. Looks very accurate to how the character appears, and I think overall the sculpt is really nice, and the paintwork for the most part is very nice and clean as well. Looking at the face, I feel like they captured the likeness of the character really well. Looks just like her. And then you have these fringes on her hair as well, which is a softer material, so you don't have to worry about those breaking. And then she does have the dessert on her head here. It's nicely sculpted and detailed. And then you have her ears as well, which are solid, so you have to be careful you don't break them. And then you move on to her orange hair, which is nicely sculpted. You can see all the strands in the back here. And then a nice fringe. And then you move on to the large ponytail on her side here. Really nicely sculpted and detailed. And then there's darker and lighter shades to bring out the sculpt and definition as well. And then you move on to a tail, really nicely sculpted, and the whole piece is hollow, so it doesn't weigh down the figure too much. But it does have this seam line that runs across the whole tail, so it is a bit distracting, but isn't super noticeable. And you do have the nice paintwork as well for the orange stripes. And again, the orange does have lighter tints to bring out the definition. Moving down to her outfit, the cherries on her chest are slightly a glossy finish, so they do stand out. And then the pouch as well is also a glossy finish. And then the rest of the outfit is a nice matte finish. So the skirt itself is a solid piece, but you do get all the different layers of the sculpt in the skirt. And that carries to the underside as well. And then down to her shoes, nicely detailed and sculpted for the most part. And now looking at Cure Gelato, again really nicely sculpted and detailed, very accurate to the character and how she appears. And then looking closer, look at the face, they've really captured the likeness of the character really well. And then the fringes on the hair is really nicely sculpted. It's nice and spiky. And then the hair is a nice matte blue finish, but you do have darker shades to bring out the definition. And then you have the cat ears on the top. Again, they are solid, so you have to be careful of them. Same with the crown. And then moving to the back of her hair, really nicely sculpted. There's just so much detail and so much motion in the hair. It just gives a lot of character and personality. And overall, it is a whole solid piece, so it does weigh down the figure a bit. But the figure's neck has a really stiff joint, so it can support the head just fine. But there is some seam lines, such as this part here, so it does kind of stand out from the rest of the hair. I'm not really sure why it's like that, but for the most part, it doesn't stand out too much, but it is present. And then again, you do have darker shades near the bottom to bring out more definition in the hair. Moving down to her outfit, you have the nice fluff for her collar, but there is a seam line that runs across the whole fluff, so it looks a bit detracting. And the whole collar is a solid piece as well. And then down to the rest of the outfit, you have the nice glossy triangle here, and then the pouch is glossy as well. And then you have her skirt, which is really nicely sculpted and detailed. Has these nice cloud formations. Well, this side is a nice white. And then moving down to her gloves, again nicely detailed and sculpted. So the shoes are nicely sculpted, nice glossy finish, whereas the socks have a matte finish. So it's a nice contrast between the two. And then you have the tail as well, which is a solid piece, so you have to be careful. It does feel very fragile, but again, it does have a lot of detail and darker and lighter shades as well. So for articulation on Cure Custard, the neck is on a ball joint, so she can look down about that much, look up that much, which is quite a bit. Tilt her head side to side as well as twist. And then the ponytail is on a ball joint, so you can move it back and forth and also twist. And then you can kind of rotate it as well. Moving on to her shoulders, it's on a ball joint, so you can move it around the torso however you like. And it also has the new pull out method, so you can pull her arm slightly out and that allows for a bit more range. But I think one of the gripes with this figure is how they incorporated the sleeves. It isn't really connected, it just kind of swivels around the joint, so whenever you move the arm it tends to swivel quite a bit and it does get in the way of articulation. It's nothing major, but it's just something to point out. But the ball joint is also on a hinge, so you can bring your arm out to the side and you bring her arm forward as well as back. She has the bicep swivel and then single jointed elbow and then ball jointed wrist. And just like with these newer Precure figures, Bandai continues to use really thin wrist joints for these Precure figures, so just be careful you don't break them. Moving to her torso, which is my main gripe with the figure, so it is on a ball joint, so she can lean forward, not really a whole lot, and can't really lean back a whole lot either. Not really lean too much side to side, and can swivel slightly. But my main gripe comes in the fact that she likes to split in half a lot of the times, and no matter how hard I push it in, it just can't seem to stay in properly. So there's definitely some QC issues with this figure. Moving to the tail itself is on a ball joint that's connected here. So you can move it up and down as well as side to side, and it can swivel as well. And like I already said, the skirt is a solid piece, but it still allows for a bit of range of motion in the legs. So the waist is on a ball joint, so you can move the legs about however you want, and then you can also twist them. And then each leg is on a ball joint, so she can kick about that far to the side, kick forward about that much, kick back that much. She has the thigh swivel, and then single jointed knees. And then for the ankle, it's on a ball joint, so you can go back that much, forward that much, lean side to side, as well as twist. So for articulation, Cure Custard has all the articulation you'd expect a Figuarts figure to have. And for the most part, she has a lot of range as well. Nothing in her design really restricts her articulation too much, so that's nice. She should be able to get all the poses you'd want from this figure. For Cure Gelato's articulation, her head is on a ball joint, so she can look down about that much, look up, not really a whole lot due to the collar. She can tilt her head side to side as well as twist, and then the ponytail is on a ball joint, so you can move it back and forth. But of course, when you put it all the way back, it does add a lot more weight to the back, so just be mindful of that. But you can also swivel it side to side and then twist it as well. For the shoulders, It's on a ball joint, so you can move it around the torso however you like. And she also has the pull-out method, but it's a bit harder to incorporate since the sleeve kind of gets in the way, and it is a solid piece, so you can still get quite a bit of motion from the arm, and it is on a hinge as well, so you can bring the arm out to the side. Bring the arm forward, bring the arm back. She has the bicep swivel, and then single jointed elbows, and then the ball jointed wrist. And this is probably where my main gripe with this figure comes in, is that although she wears gloves, they're quite thickly sculpted, but the ball joint they use for the wrist is the same type of really thin joint, so it looks a bit odd when you sculpt it with the thick glove, but at the same time it just makes it really delicate as well. So again, you just have to be careful of her wrist joints. For the torso, it's on a ball joint, so she can lean forward, not a whole lot, lean back slightly, she can lean side to side as well as twist. And then for the skirt, it is a softer material that's split into 3 different parts. So although it looks really narrow, it still allows for articulation. So the waist is on a ball joint, you can move them about however you like, you can also twist. And then each leg is on a ball joint, so she can kick about that far to the side, and it does make the skirt move along with it as well. And then she can kick forward about that much, not a whole lot, and then she can kick back that much, and then she has the thigh swivel, single jointed knee, and then she also has the ball jointed ankle. And just like the glove, although the sculpt of it is very thick, the ball joint in there is pretty thin, so it does look a bit odd, but it does allow a bit more range, so you can go back that much, forward that much, lean side to side as well as twist, so they're definitely very limited. And then for the tail, it's on a ball joint that's connected here, so you can move it about however you like. So Cure Gelato has all the articulation you'd expect a Figuarts figure to have, but because of her design, some parts are limited, like the shoulders and the skirt and mainly the ankles, but for the most part you should still be able to get all the poses you'd want. But that's the figures. Let's take a look at the accessories. So for Cure Custard, she comes with a default smiling face, a happy face with her mouth open, and then a similar face but with her eyes looking to the left, and then an angry shouting face. For hands, she comes with a pair of open palmed hands, and then a rack of various hands. So a pair of fists, 2 chopping, 1 posing, 2 more fists, 2 hands hold her weapons, and then 2 hands hold her perfume box. So here's her actual perfume box, really nicely sculpted and detailed. And then her main weapon as well. Nice use of the translucent parts. And then she also comes with a display base. For Cure Gelato, she comes with a default smiling face, a happy gritting face, a happy smiling face, and an angry shouting face. For hands, she comes with a pair of fists and then a rack of different various hands. So you got 2 open palmed hands, 2 rock and roll hands, 2 hands to hold her weapons, a hand to hold her guitar, 1 pointing hand, and then 2 hands to hold her perfume box. So here's her actual perfume box, nicely detailed and sculpted, and her main weapon as well. She also comes with an extra neck joint without a hinge to help support her hair. Comes with a guitar, which is 1 solid translucent blue piece. Looks really cool and effective. And then she also comes with a display base. And finally, they come with both fairies, which are both nicely sculpted and detailed. And then they both have a ball joint for the head as well. And then they also come with stands for the fairies. And finally they come with their cake parts as well. So they are nice and translucent with the images of their cakes, and that's to use with the main cake attack that comes with Cure Whip. And then it comes with a stand to help support these cake layers as well. So my final thoughts are, overall it is a bit unfortunate that these two share the same packaging, since I know there are some people who like one character possibly more than the other and they only want to get one or the other. But because they do share a pack and the fact they are web exclusive, the price of them is really expensive, and because they're the newest style of Precure figures as well, the prices of them has risen dramatically over the Precure figures. So if you're definitely a hardcore fan of the show and these two characters in particular, then I do recommend getting these figures because they are very nicely sculpted and detailed, really nice accurate representations of the characters, and they come with so much accessories that it is overall worth the amount of money that they're charging. But again, because they're so expensive, just keep in mind that you have to pay for really high price for them. But despite that, they still do have some QC issues, such as the waist for Cure Custard and the odd design for her sleeves. And then the fact that they still use the really thin wrist joints, so it does make them delicate. But overall, I'd say they both feel pretty sturdy, a lot more sturdy than Cure Whip, I feel. So again, if you are a huge fan of these characters, then I do recommend them, but just keep in mind you have to pay a whole lot for these two. But that's my review. Thank you for watching and enjoy some pictures.